With any project, you want to start with a strong foundation. And that's why when we make our boho beads here at Lila Ann Beads, we almost always use a core bead. And there's many other reasons. Most of our core beads are made of acrylic or resin, some type of plastic. Sometimes we will use wood. And we have 3 different common sizes, are small, medium, and large. But not everybody uses them, and I think that we just need to review the benefits. Why are they so important? The first reason that you want to use a core bead is because they're so much more lightweight. This is one of our normal large beads that's been made using a regular core bead, and then I made one that's almost identical, but just using solid clay. Now, if we put them on the scale, you can see this one is 10 grams. And this one is 19 grams. That's almost half. And that may not seem like a lot, but when you're putting together a strong statement piece, something like this where we've used a lot of handmade beads, that amount of weight around your neck is going to make a big difference. Number 2, droopage. So when you have a big ball of clay, gravity is going to do its job and just pull that clay down while it's hardening. So here's an old bead that we made before we used core beads, and you can just see how it's drooped down. It's not even anymore, and it's just not as appealing. Having a core bead is going to hold that clay in place and help it keep its shape so that you come out with something perfect. Here's another example. You can see it's just kind of, it's like a U shape, and using a core bead is going to stop that from happening. Number 3 is blockage. The beads that you use, you want to have a nice clear hole and make it easy for them to use. And when you're working with clay, there's a couple ways that it can be a problem if you don't have your hole cleared out. So for example, when you're using epoxy clay, it can get stuck right onto that rod, and it's just never coming off. Like we've tried pliers, power tools, all different kinds of things, and these were made several years ago before we used core beads, and so this was a common problem. Additionally, after a bead has been made and you go to use it, if it was something like this that had a smaller hole, it's not uncommon for that hole to close off, and then you're never able to use that bead, and all that work you put in was for nothing. So using a core bead is going to help you avoid both of those problems. Number 4, consistency. I love using the core beads because it keeps our products consistent. When you have a product that you're going to be selling over and over, you want your customers to have a consistent experience. So these are our big boys, and you can see they're all consistent, exactly the same. Our medium ones, consistent. Our small boys, consistent. You can always make sure that they're going to get exactly what they expect because it's consistent every time. Consistency. Number 5 is symmetry and shape. When you're making a boho bead that doesn't have a core, you're much more likely to end up with lumpy, frumpy, dumpy beads. Doesn't matter what shape you're wanting to make. We have little cones, oblongs, round. Using the core just keeps that shape and keeps it nice and symmetrical all the way around. Number 6 is texture. I always say that glitter will hide your imperfections, but mica powders will bring those imperfections out. So how can you make a perfectly smooth bead and give it that perfect pearlescent finish? The secret is to use your core beads and just a minuscule amount of clay. You really get the clay to get in there and hug that core bead and brush that mica powder on with a soft, gentle touch, and you can get that perfect kind of airbrushed look. We've done the same with our ombre beads, and you can get a really cool effect because we were able to keep that clay nice and smooth on the core bead. And here's the bonus reason you should be using core beads is because time is very important. For all of us running a business, time is very important. And when you're trying to get that perfect shape, it's such a pain because you're constantly having to readjust the shape, smooth it out, get all the lumps out. But with a core bead, it's one and done. You got that clay on there, it's nice and solid, and you can get your work done, get in, get out, move on. Now you don't have to use our core beads. There's all kinds of items around your house that you can find. Also, I like to use core beads that have been damaged or have imperfections, of course, so that I'm not wasting. We got a whole shipment of these resin beads in, and some of them have flat sides and like missing little pieces, so they made excellent core beads. Other materials that you can use: wood, styrofoam, metal. There's all kinds of things, so get creative.